In these examples, we are looking at the topic inverse functions, specifically natural log of x and e to the x. Let me write that here. Natural log of x and e to the x. Okay. When thinking of inverse functions, we first have to know that the inverse of natural log of x is e to the x, and the opposite is the same. So the inverse of e to the x is natural log of x. This is important is because we can use the inverse functions to cancel out that opposite function in order to solve for our variable. So looking at this first example here, we have 250 is equal to 50 times e to the power of 0.06t. So first, we have to make sure our function is by itself. So in order to do that, I'm going to divide both sides by 50. So I have 250 divided by 50, which is 5. So 5 is equal to e to the 0.06t. Now that I have my e function by itself, I'm going to take the inverse of both sides. So the inverse of e is natural log of x. So I'm going to do the natural log of 5, and then the natural log of e to the 0.06t. And what that's going to do is that's going to cancel out my e function. So now I have the natural log of 5 is equal to 0.06t. So if I'm getting t by itself, I'm going to divide both sides by 0.06. And I get t is equal to the natural log of 5 divided by 0.06. If you use your calculator and you just take the natural log of 5, you get a number, and that number is 1.609, so on and so forth. Then you can take that and divide it by 0.06, and we get the decimal t is equal to 26.82. I'm just going to round to 2 decimal places here. So let's do the same thing for the other example. Again, we have the function e. In order to get rid of e, we take the inverse of natural log. But before we do that, we have to get it by itself. So I'm going to divide both sides by 50. 25 divided by 50 is 1/2, is equal to e to the 15r. I'm going to take the natural log of both sides, and that is going to cancel out my e function. So I have the natural log of 1/2 is equal to 15r. Divide both sides by 15. I get r is equal to the natural log of 1/2 divided by 15. If I type in 1/2, natural log of 1/2, let's see. You're going to get a number. I'm going to divide that number by 15, and you'll get an answer of negative 0.046. Then last example here, notice that we no longer have e to the x, we have the natural log function. So just like we use the natural log function to cancel out e to the x, the opposite is true. We can use e to the x to cancel out the natural log function. So we do that by taking the e of both sides. And when we do that, notice how that equation became like exponents now. This is going to cancel out the natural log. So we're just going to end up with x is equal to e to 3.548. And remember, e is just a number on our calculator. So we could use the function e and raise it to 3.548 and get a number. So 3.548 e. And you should get x is equal to 34.74.